What's going on, everyone? Wanted to do a quick little live video to think about what we learned from the 2024 CrossFit Games Semifinals, both on the men's individual side and the women's individual side. I'll start with the women's individual side because what we learned actually is a lot quicker. It's that Tia-Clair Toomey is the 2024 Champions Game CrossFit Games champion, without a shadow of a doubt. She's won 5 out of 6 events. She finished third in her worst event. And you can sort of maybe suggest that Laura Horvath wasn't trying as hard as Tia-Clair Toomey, but there's no real way in my mind to reconcile, to square off the difference between those two performances. No disrespect to the European women, no disrespect to Gabby McGar, Laura's training partner, but the field wasn't quite as competitive, shall we say, over in Europe as it was in North America East. And regardless of that, Tia-Clair Toomey has blown the bloody doors off. So it's sort of made the CrossFit Games 2024 for the women at least a little bit less exciting, seeing just how dominant she was. Maybe we're wrong, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe when the games roll around, not only will Laura have upped her game, but some of the other women too. That would be really exciting. I'm not so confident, mind you. The men's side, however, has really become an even more fascinating event than it was beforehand. You think all the way back to the European semi-finals, it seemed like Jon Korsky was a shoo-in. He's not progressing any further, but Lazar Dukic, perennial top 10 at the CrossFit Games, he's back. Think all the way back to the Torium Pro in Oceania. Of course, we know that Ricky Garrard was always going to be in contention, but it was wonderful to see him, Jay Crouch, and Bailey Martin trading blows. There's 3 men who are really not necessarily going to be pushing for a podium, but their performances in individual events, perhaps, really going to be shaking things up. Then, over on the West, not the strongest field by any means, but the man I called washed, the one that I said was never going to reclaim the heights that he had once hit, Justin Medeiros, did that thing that Justin Medeiros does and blitz the field by really just being stoic and steady and consistent. Throw into the mix the evergreen Patrick Vellner, our Canadian friend Brent Fikowski, and James Sparroog, who won a couple of events. That's looking quite tasty too. And the Peste de la Resistance, I've been in France for the weekend, the cherry on the cake really was the North America East semi-final, where Jeff Adler versus Roman Karenikov, 2.0, the return of Roman, the Roman Empire's second bite at the cherry. Well, it turned out to be Jeff versus Roman versus Dallin. Dallin really close to winning the North America East, putting himself in contention for a podium spot at the Games. Not to forget, Jason Hopper with a very impressive performance. Would have been even better had he not rushed on the snatch workout. Sam Cornaye, he impressed, probably for the first time, I would say, ever as an individual athlete. And it means that the men's field is looking thick. Not necessarily thick in terms of people who could potentially win it, but when you're looking for those differences in points, who's going to get between one athlete and another so that points can spread and events can have a big impact on the board, all of a sudden there's 10 guys who you're expecting to finish in the top 10 every single event. So we've learned a lot through the 2024 CrossFit Games semi-finals. I think across the board, they were fun, they were exciting, the athletes performed well, the tests were fantastic, and this last weekend, some of the races were incredible. The women's, maybe it's over. Maybe we should just hand Tia the belt now and everyone else is fighting for second and third. But the men's is looking spicier and more exciting than it has, maybe even in a decade. There we go. I just want to give you a heads up as well that the King Don, Tom Kingdon, is returning to the Pop of the Tops podcast, reflecting on recapping his experiences at the French Throwdown, sort of a retrospective. What was he expecting? What happened? And the lessons that he has learned from taking part in his first semi-final. That'll be dropping tomorrow or the day after. As always, I just want to leave you with this thought, that tops, that's shirts, are only appropriate for travelling to the gym. And as soon as the clock strikes 0, it's time to pop that top. Peace.